Hello and welcome to my latest video. Today's topic is on the culture wars, and I'm going to start with the unrest in the US. Now obviously there was a standoff in Charlottesville between white nationalists and Antifa, and recently Trump gave a talk in Phoenix, Arizona, and there was another standoff between pro-Trump and anti-Trump supporters. So there's a lot of unrest at the moment in the US, and this is really ideological unrest because a lot of people don't appreciate what Trump stands for and see him as xenophobic and quite an aggressive figure as well, and not having the right personality for the office. And this is all very interesting because it feeds into the more general argument about postmodernism, because a lot of these anti-fascist protesters have a very strange ideology. Now, I've been reading a book on postmodernism, and it basically states that postmodernism is anti-essentialist, anti-realist, and anti-foundationalist. And basically that means that, for example, they don't believe that there's a real essence to things, that there's nothing essential outside the interpretation of the mind. So it's very relative, in other words. And it's all this relativism which leads to moral relativism, and as you can imagine, well, anti-realist as well. For example, they don't believe in a it's similar to anti-essentialist. Anti-realist is that they don't believe in real objective reality, basically. It sounds strange, but this is what people are thinking now, that there is no objective reality. And again, it depends on the mind's interpretation, depends on the subject. It's all relative to the subject, basically. So, as you can imagine, this tears apart a lot of modernist thinking, and it's also very anti-Catholic as well. So it's also, the traditionalists are doing all right, really, because they have their own little enclave, and they're able to deal with it well. But the modernists have a battle on two fronts, really, because they've got the traditionalists which rubbish their truth claims about materialism, and they've got the postmodernists which seek to upset the paradigm about objective reality and the truth claims of science and that sort of thing. So it's the modernists that are in a bit of problems at the moment. But to me, as a Catholic, modernism is more of a threat than postmodernism, in my opinion. And I do have some qualified sympathies with postmodernism, but I shouldn't exaggerate that, because it really is essentially an evil doctrine, because it relativizes everything, so it destroys value. It just destroys objective value. So I don't like it in that sense, but in the sense that it rubbishes some of the materialist truth claims of modernism, I'm pleased about that. Like, for example, the Enlightenment vision of secular progress and all of this sort of thing, moving out of the dark ages of religion. Postmodernism can be sympathetic to religion. That's what's quite interesting about it. There's something known as postmodern theology, and although I don't agree with that, I might do some research into that. So, yes, overall, the culture wars these people who are protesting against fascists, as they call it, are quite an intolerant group, and this also stems from postmodernism, but it's like a new authoritarianism, really, because they seek to impose rules on recognition of multiple genders and things like that. Like, it's quite intolerant to traditional views, and really, I haven't come into contact with postmodernists because, as I say, traditionalists have their own little enclave, and we just talk to each other about spiritual things, and this is on Twitter mainly, because none of my friends and family are Catholic, but there's a Catholic Twitter sphere, so we discuss spiritual things, and it's very fulfilling. But this postmodernism, I can't say I utterly despise it, really, because it does have some positive aspects vis-a-vis combating modernism. So there's just some thoughts about that anyway. And I'm not optimistic about the culture wars. I think things will only get more fragmented. Someone on Fox News the other night said these things usually end where one side wins, but I can't see one side winning outright because society is so polarised, especially in the US, that I think it could breed some real civil unrest further than what we've seen already, and I'm not very optimistic about it, but I tend to think that the most progressive side tends to win in the end as things move towards the future, and progressivism will win out, unfortunately, but traditionalists will always have their safe space, so to speak, where they can still practice their religion and that sort of thing. It's really modernism which has the most to suffer from this, because it stands to lose its ontological ground entirely, I think, in a way that religion never went away. Religion has always stayed, and modernism doesn't have that staying power, I don't think. But yeah, it's just some reflections on that topic. So that's it for the culture wars. Thank you.